The world you were born into was not designed to protect you. It does not reward fairness, purity, or good intentions. It rewards those who see reality clearly, not as they wish it to be, but as it is. You can be kind, and people will still take advantage. You can be capable, and the world will still elevate mediocrity over mastery. You can follow the rules, play clean, and do everything right, and still lose to someone who understands the shadows better than you do. Most people collapse under that truth. A smaller number survive it, and a rare, invisible minority transcends it. These are the people whose minds were sharpened by disappointment, betrayal, and quiet defeats. Their intelligence is not polished in comfort. It is forged in pressure. They learn to move while others flail. They learn to see while others hope. They learn to act while others tremble. I call this dark acumen, a set of psychological weapons built from clarity, restraint, and relentless observation. It is not cruelty. It is not manipulation. It is strategic awareness, the mental infrastructure that protects you, elevates you, and severs you from emotional slavery. This video is not entertainment. It is instruction. If you came for affirmation, go elsewhere. If you came to be comfortable, this will make you uncomfortable in the best possible way. You are here to evolve. Declare it now in the comments. I choose clarity over emotion. I choose strategy over impulse. Pause. Breathe. We go deep. We do not flinch. We begin. Soon you will learn 8 psychological weapons, precise habits and mind shifts that separate the reactive from the strategic. Master them, and you will move through the world with less fear, more leverage, and a harder, more resilient power. 1. The law of deliberate mystery. Most people are terrified of silence, not because silence is empty, but because silence reveals what they desperately try to hide: insecurity, doubt, the need to be liked. So they rush to fill the void. They talk without being asked. They reveal without being prompted. They confess without being pressured. And every extra word becomes a doorway into their mind. Oversharing is not honesty. Oversharing is self-sabotage, disguised as openness. When a person explains themselves too much, they're not informing you. They're apologizing for their existence. When they expose their intentions, they're not being transparent. They're surrendering their leverage. When they give you every detail of their inner world, they're not being authentic. They're handing you the blueprint to control them. Most people don't understand this. They think communication is safety. They think visibility is connection. They think that if others truly know them, they'll be valued, respected, chosen. But reality doesn't reward exposure. Reality rewards restraint. The strategically intelligent understand something that the masses never learn. Information is currency, and the one who keeps more of it retains more power. They don't spill their thoughts like loose change. They don't narrate their emotions as if they're owed empathy. They don't explain their choices as if they fear judgment. They reveal selectively, precisely, intentionally. Not to manipulate, not to deceive, but to remain unreadable enough that nobody can predict their next move. Because predictability is the death of strategic advantage. People don't fear what they fully understand. People fear what they cannot map. Deliberate mystery is not a performance. It isn't about creating fog or acting cryptic just for effect. It's discipline, psychological minimalism. It is the skill of controlling your aperture, what you allow others to see, what you allow others to assume, and what you allow to remain entirely your own. The average person opens the door to their inner world too wide, too quickly, for too many people. They reveal past traumas to strangers. They expose insecurities to acquaintances. They declare dreams to those who secretly hope they'll fail. They explain themselves to people who don't deserve an explanation. The strategically intelligent do the opposite. They let others wonder. They let others guess. They let others project. Because power comes from what is withheld, not what is given away. Mystery doesn't require lies, only boundaries. Mystery doesn't require distance, only intentional presence. Mystery doesn't require silence, only calibrated speech. When you embrace deliberate mystery, you stop feeding people the emotional breadcrumbs they use to track your patterns. You become harder to manipulate, harder to categorize, harder to corner. People respect what they cannot easily read. They pursue what they cannot easily access. And they fear what they cannot fully understand. Mystery is not hiding. Mystery is holding power by deciding what remains unseen. 2. The shifting mask principle. Weak people cling to one rigid personality and call it authenticity. They wear their identity like armor, heavy, inflexible, and easily shattered by anything unfamiliar. They believe that being the same in every situation makes them real, when in truth it makes them predictable, ineffective, and psychologically blind. The strongest minds understand something different. Identity is essence, not performance. And essence can express itself in many forms. They adapt, not to deceive, not to manipulate, but to communicate with precision. Just as water takes the shape of whatever contains it, yet never stops being water, a strategically intelligent person shifts their approach depending on the psychology of who stands before them. This is not fakery. This is mastery. Most people operate with only one psychological language, their default mode. Some rely on logic and expect everyone else to do the same. Others depend on emotion, assuming that everyone should feel the way they feel. Some are driven by ambition, others by security, others by stability, clarity, or inspiration. They speak one language and grow frustrated when the world doesn't understand them. Strategic thinkers don't expect the world to adjust to them. They adjust to the world without losing themselves. This is where influence is born. There are 6 primary psychological languages: logic for the analytical, emotion for the intuitive, ambition for the driven, security for the cautious, vision for the dreamers, precision for the meticulous. Most people can speak only one fluently. The strategically intelligent learn all of them, not to manipulate minds, but to reach them. They become multilingual in the realm of human psychology. This is why they build deeper connections, move through conflict with less friction, and navigate social dynamics with almost eerie ease. They don't treat everyone the same, because everyone is not the same. And here is the paradox. A person who insists on being the same everywhere is not authentic. They are inflexible. A person who adjusts their expression without betraying their integrity is not fake. They are fluid. A diamond shines because it has many faces, not because it has only one. The brilliance is in the angles, the ability to reflect differently depending on where the light comes from. So it is with you. Adaptability is psychological intelligence in motion. It is the recognition that strength does not come from rigidity, but from flexibility, from knowing when to be silent and when to speak, when to challenge and when to listen, when to soften and when to sharpen. The shifting mask. Principle is the art of choosing the version of yourself that best fits the moment, without ever surrendering the core of who you are. Weak minds cling to one expression. Strong minds command many. This is not deception. This is strategy. This is power. 3. The discipline of emotional detachment. This is the weapon almost no one wants to wield, because it doesn't feel powerful at first. It feels cold. It feels unnatural. It feels like walking away from everything you were taught to cling to. But emotional detachment is not the absence of feeling. It is the absence of enslavement. It is the moment you realize the most dangerous thing in the world is not your enemy. It's your own ungoverned reactions. Whatever controls your emotions controls your behavior. Whatever controls your behavior controls your life. Most people never question this. They cling tightly, desperately, to anything that offers a sense of identity or validation. They cling to approval because they fear rejection. They cling to relationships because they fear loneliness. They cling to comfort because they fear uncertainty. They cling to a fragile self-image because they fear the truth of who they might really be. And the world exploits this. Those who need validation are easy to manipulate. Those who fear being alone are easy to disrespect. Those who crave praise become predictable. Those who cannot endure discomfort never grow. Detachment is the antidote. Detachment is not numbness. Numbness is a wound. Detachment is clarity. It is the ability to feel fully without being ruled by what you feel. It is the ability to experience emotion without letting it dictate your choices. It is the discipline of separating your internal world from external chaos. Detachment means you stop negotiating from fear. You stop bending your boundaries to stay liked. You stop tolerating disrespect because you're afraid to lose someone who is already costing you more than they give. You stop shaping your entire life around anxiety, guilt, or imagined scenarios that only exist in your mind. When you can walk away, calmly, quietly, without theatrics or bitterness, you become untouchable, because the person who can walk away holds the leverage. The person who knows nothing cannot be controlled by anything. And the person who is willing to lose something for the sake of self-respect never loses in the end. Emotional detachment transforms pain into information. It turns heartbreak into clarity. This is who they truly are. It turns disappointment into insight. This is where my expectations were naive. It turns betrayal into data. This is the kind of person I will never trust again. Pain becomes feedback, not identity. Emotion becomes signal, not command. Reaction becomes choice, not compulsion. People imagine detachment means not caring. They are wrong. Detachment means caring correctly, without self-destruction. It means valuing your peace over chaos, your clarity over confusion, your future over temporary comfort. The emotionally detached are not cold. They are calm. They are not heartless. They are self-led. They are not disconnected. They are disciplined. You gain power the moment you stop giving the world unlimited access to your emotional triggers. You gain freedom the moment you stop letting fear write your decisions. And you gain clarity the moment your emotions become something you observe instead of something you obey. This is the discipline most avoid, and the advantage few ever master. 4. Silent influence. Most people think influence is something you project, an external force, a performance, a display. They believe the louder they are, the more control they gain. They raise their voice to feel bigger. They over-explain to feel justified. They dramatize to feel important. But loudness is a confession. It reveals insecurity before it reveals strength. Real power doesn't announce itself. It arrives. Silent influence is not about withholding your voice. It's about mastering your presence. It is the psychology of command without noise, authority without performance, and dominance without aggression. Understand this. People don't fear volume. They fear calm. A raised voice is predictable. A quiet mind is terrifying, because silence forces others into the unfamiliar, their own thoughts. A person who expects conflict is destabilized when you don't react. A person who wants an argument grows frustrated when you stay composed. A person who relies on emotional pressure loses power the moment you don't feed their chaos. Silent influence shifts the entire playing field. When you pause before speaking, insecure people interpret it as judgment. When you hold eye contact without rushing your response, aggressive people feel their certainty slipping. When you sit in stillness while others scramble to fill the air, you become the gravitational center of the room. Silence is not emptiness. It is pressure, and only the disciplined can handle its weight. Silent influence requires 3 psychological weapons. First, controlled presence. You don't move reactively. You move intentionally. Your gestures are minimal, efficient, grounded. Your calm becomes the contrast that exposes the instability of others. Second, tactical restraint. You do not reveal what you feel immediately. You let others speak first. You let them rush. You let them reveal more than they intended. Your restraint becomes their unraveling. Third, predictive awareness. You observe patterns, tone shifts, micro-expressions, contradictions. Silence gives you space to see, and in that seeing, you gather more intelligence than any loud person ever will. The person who speaks the least often knows the most. When you stop rushing to respond, you start hearing what others fail to hide. You notice the insecurity behind their anger, the desperation behind their bravado, the motive behind their flattery. Silence gives you X-ray vision into the structure of their psyche. And here is the paradox that makes silent influence so powerful. The less you try to control others, the more they adjust to you. Your calm forces them to reorganize their energy. Your pauses force them to second-guess their approach. Your quiet presence forces them to reveal themselves. This is why the strongest individuals in any environment rarely speak first. They let the room expose itself. They let others miscalculate. They let the insecure burn their energy publicly. And then they move. Once. Precisely. Decisively. And change the direction of the entire interaction. Silent influence is not passivity. It is pressure applied with precision. It is psychological gravity. It is strength in its purest, most efficient form. Power doesn't need to be loud. Only insecurity does. Drop I move in silence, in the comments. Only the disciplined will. 5. The mirror effect. People imagine influence as persuasion, as bending someone's thinking, changing their mind, or steering their choices through force or charisma. But the truth is far simpler and far quieter. People don't want to be convinced. They want to be reflected. Human beings are not logical by default. They are psychological, emotional, identity-driven. Every decision they make, every opinion they defend, every story they tell, is seeking one thing: recognition of their fears, their hopes, their insecurities, their unspoken beliefs about themselves. When you reflect these back to them, not with manipulation, but with clarity, you create instant psychological gravity. People lean toward those who make them feel seen. This is the mirror effect. It works because every person, even the most confident, powerful, or stoic, carries 3 silent questions inside them. Do you see me? Do you understand me? Do you respect what matters to me? When someone feels the answer is yes, their defenses don't just lower, they dissolve. The mirror effect is not about imitation. It's not about copying someone's energy or parroting their words. That's manipulation, and it collapses the moment the other person senses a mismatch. The mirror effect is about reflecting the truth of what someone feels, needs, or fears, often more clearly than they can articulate themselves. It requires 3 psychological abilities. First, deep listening beyond words. Most people listen to respond. Strategic thinkers listen to see. They observe tone, not just content. Intent, not just language. Patterns, not just statements. When someone complains about being overlooked, what they're really saying is, I need to feel valued. When someone talks about their dreams with hesitation, their real message is, I fear failing publicly. When someone acts aggressively, the truth is often, I'm afraid of being insignificant. Reflecting these unspoken truths creates resonance, not resistance. Second, emotional calibration. Influence isn't created through intensity. It's created through alignment. If someone is anxious, you don't overwhelm them. If someone is proud, you don't diminish them. If someone is uncertain, you don't bulldoze them with confidence. You match the emotional frequency just enough for their nervous system to say, this person understands me. Only then can you guide the interaction, gently, invisibly, without friction. Third, psychological validation without submission. Validation doesn't mean agreeing with everything they say. It means acknowledging the logic of their experience. You can say, I get why that mattered to you. I see why that hurt. I understand why you hesitated. This tells their subconscious, you're not a threat. And once someone stops seeing you as a threat, they start seeing you as a guide. The mirror effect doesn't overpower people. It aligns with them. And alignment creates a level of influence that force never can. This is why the most magnetic individuals aren't the loudest, the flashiest, or the most persuasive. They are the ones who hold up a mirror so clearly that others feel illuminated in their presence. Influence doesn't begin with domination. It begins with understanding. People don't move toward power. They move toward those who reflect their inner world back to them with precision and respect. 6. Gray zone morality. Most people want morality to be simple, a clean divide between heroes and villains, between right and wrong, between good people and bad people. But the real world refuses to fit into these comfortable boxes. Life does not split humanity into good versus evil. It splits them into the naive and the aware. Naivety is not innocence. It is blindness masquerading as purity. It is the belief that good intentions immunize you from consequences. It is the illusion that kindness guarantees reciprocity, or that honesty is always rewarded, or that fairness wins simply because it should. Awareness, on the other hand, is not darkness. It is clarity, the ability to see humans as they actually are, not as you wish them to be. This is where gray zone morality lives. It does not corrupt you. It cleans you. It strips away delusion, fantasy, and childish views of the world. It forces you to make decisions that are aligned with your long-term integrity, not your momentary comfort. Because sometimes the kindest choice looks harsh from the outside. Sometimes protecting your peace means disappointing someone who wanted unlimited access to your energy. Sometimes telling the truth destroys the illusion someone depends on, and they will resent you for it. But clarity is not cruelty. Boundaries are not betrayal. Self-respect is not selfishness. Peace without boundaries is not peace. It is captivity. Kindness without discernment is not kindness. It is self-destruction. Gray zone morality understands this. Goodness without strength collapses. Compassion without strategy is exploited. Empathy without limits attracts predators disguised as victims. When you have dark acumen, your decisions are not random or emotional. They are calibrated, balanced between heart and strategy, compassion and caution, mercy and self-preservation. You stop asking, will this make me look like a good person? And start asking, will this make me an effective human being? This shift changes everything. Because the world does not reward those who look morally perfect. It rewards those who navigate complexity with awareness. Sometimes you will have to say no when everyone wants you to say yes. Sometimes you will have to walk away even when staying would make you seem loyal. Sometimes you will have to choose your well-being over someone else's comfort. And people may call you cold, arrogant, selfish, but understand this. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will always label your strength as cruelty. Gray zone morality frees you from these opinions. It teaches you to act with dignity, not guilt, to choose what's right for your future, not what feels good in the moment, to value truth over performance, to protect yourself without apologizing for it. This is not moral decay. This is moral maturity. You do not strive to appear good. You strive to be effective, to navigate life with eyes open, boundaries firm, heart intact, and power unconfused. That is the essence of gray zone morality, strength guided by conscience, compassion guided by wisdom, clarity guided by reality. 7. Controlled revelation. In an age where people live stream their emotions, confess their insecurities to strangers, and narrate their every thought just to feel seen, the greatest advantage you can possess is psychological privacy. Power doesn't grow through exposure. Power grows through containment. Power increases as information decreases. The less people know, the more they feel. Their minds fill in the gaps with imagination, curiosity, and respect. Sometimes even fear, because the unknown carries more weight than the fully revealed. In a world addicted to oversharing, the person who reveals nothing unintentionally becomes magnetic. People lean in. They want to understand you. They want access. They want the story you're not telling. This is the power of controlled revelation. You do not announce your plans prematurely, not because you're secretive, but because premature exposure invites premature interference. People sabotage what they envy, doubt what they don't understand, and discourage what threatens their comfort. Keeping your moves private protects them until they are strong enough to stand on their own. You do not reveal your weaknesses casually, not because you're pretending to be invincible, but because vulnerability is a currency, not a donation. You give it sparingly, selectively, and only to those who have earned the right to hold it without weaponizing it. You do not offer free access to your internal world, not because you're cold, but because intimacy without discernment leads to self-betrayal. Controlled revelation is not silence. It's not secrecy. It's not emotional exile. It is calibrated disclosure. You reveal slowly, intentionally, proportionately. You treat your inner world like a vault, not a public park. Because in psychology, once something is spoken, it cannot be unspoken. It becomes data. It becomes leverage. It becomes part of how people interpret, predict, categorize, or judge you. You maintain control by choosing when, how, and to whom you reveal. Most people reveal to relieve anxiety. Strategic people reveal to establish direction. Most people talk to feel connected. Strategic people speak to maintain clarity. Most people share because they fear being misunderstood. Strategic people withhold because they know being fully understood is unnecessary and often dangerous. Controlled revelation transforms you into someone others cannot easily read, predict, or manipulate. It gives you an aura of depth, even mystery, because you are not performing emotional nakedness for social validation. Your privacy is not secretive. Your privacy is protection. Protection of your goals until they're concrete. Protection of your heart until trust is proven. Protection of your energy until reciprocity is shown. Protection of your path until you are unshakable on it. In a world where everyone wants to be seen, the one who reveals with intention becomes powerful, unreachable, unpredictable, self-led. Controlled revelation is not about hiding who you are. It is about guarding your inner world so you can move strategically, live deliberately, and rise quietly, without interruption, distortion, or sabotage. 8. the obsession with outcomes. Most people waste their lives chasing emotional victories. They want to win arguments. They want to look superior. They want applause, validation, and the warm feeling of being right. But strategic thinkers don't care about any of that. They don't chase pride. They chase results. Outcome obsession is the psychological shift that separates the reactive mind from the elite mind. It is the decision to prioritize effectiveness over ego and results over recognition. This weapon begins with a single question. The same question every powerful individual asks, consciously or unconsciously. Does this action move me closer to the outcome I want, or farther away? Not, does this make me look good? Does this make me feel superior? Will people like or approve of this? Will this soothe my insecurity? Those questions belong to children, to amateurs, to people who mistake emotional satisfaction for progress. Outcome obsession cuts through all noise. It dissolves distractions. It kills emotional reactivity. It forces you to see the world through the lens of what works, not what feels good. Most people get stuck in cycles of meaningless conflict. They argue online with strangers. They debate people whose lives are going nowhere. They defend their opinions as if opinions were currency. Strategic thinkers understand something deeper. You cannot deposit ego into your future. Only outcomes matter. Outcome obsession rewires your entire operating system. You stop explaining yourself. Results speak louder. You stop fighting for petty victories. They cost too much time. You stop arguing with people beneath your goals. Their energy drags you down. You stop performing for validation. External approval becomes irrelevant. You stop engaging in emotional theater. It wastes your psychological bandwidth. Your mind sharpens. Your priorities crystallize. Your path becomes straight. Most people want to feel right. Outcome-driven people want to be effective. This difference is everything. Think of the most powerful people in history. Inventors, leaders, strategists, creators. They were not obsessed with how they appeared. They were obsessed with what was necessary to achieve the result. Outcome obsession grants you an almost unfair advantage because it eliminates 90% of the battles people lose themselves in. Petty arguments, emotional entanglements, validation hunting, perfectionism, procrastination, ego-driven decisions, reputation anxiety, social comparison, fear of judgment. When you're focused on the outcome, you don't have time for these psychological drains. You become a closer, someone who finishes, executes, and delivers. Not the person who talks about doing it. Not the person who waits for motivation. Not the person who needs applause to move. A closer moves because the outcome demands movement. A closer acts because effectiveness is the only metric that matters. A closer understands that emotion is temporary, but results are permanent. Outcome obsession transforms your life into a focused, high-impact trajectory. It turns chaos into direction, noise into silence, potential into execution. And in a world full of people who confuse motion with progress, the one who masters outcomes becomes unstoppable. Final invocation, become sovereign. You now hold the 8 weapons of dark acumen. But understand this, knowledge alone changes nothing. Knowledge is potential. Application is transformation. Most people consume information the way they consume entertainment. Passively, emotionally, forgetfully. They listen, feel inspired for a moment, and then sink back into the gravity of old habits. That is not who you are becoming. Dark acumen demands practice, precision, repetition. Pick one weapon, just one, and train it relentlessly for 7 days. Sharpen it until it becomes instinctive, until it becomes your default, until it becomes part of your identity. Because the world does not need more emotional chaos. It does not need more people who react before thinking, speak before understanding, or move before observing. It does not need more noise masquerading as strength. The world needs people who can see the truth beneath the surface, people who can navigate the shadows without losing themselves, people who act from clarity, not impulse. It needs sovereign minds. Dark acumen is not about domination. It is not about manipulation. It is not about becoming cold or cruel or detached from humanity. It is about refusing to be controlled. Controlled by emotion, controlled by ego, controlled by fear, controlled by the expectations of people who do not walk your path, controlled by a world that benefits from keeping you reactive, distracted, and overwhelmed. Sovereignty means you do not belong to your emotions. They belong to you. It means circumstance does not dictate your identity. You dictate your response. It means your life is not a series of reactions. It is a series of deliberate moves. You are not here to repeat your past. You are here to rewrite it. You are here to redesign yourself through intention and awareness. You are here to become someone who moves with purpose, speaks with clarity, and acts with strategy. Dark acumen is the sharpening of your inner weaponry, the forging of a mind that can withstand pressure, manipulation, chaos, and contradiction without losing its center. If this awakened something in you, a spark of recognition, a whisper of strength, a shift in how you see yourself, then honor that. Feed it. Build on it. Let it grow until it becomes impossible to ignore. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, then comment the weapon you'll master first. Not as a declaration to me, but as a commitment to yourself. Until next time, stay conscious, stay strategic, stay sovereign.